Horns up, Metalheads. This week we are kicking it old school as Snowy sits down to speak with Matt Olivo from the legendary band Repulsion. Now, Matt has a new project called Expulsion that features members of the band Exhumed. So we're figuring, or at least this is what I'm guessing right now, Repulsion Exhumed equals Expulsion. Not to be confused with the expulsion of the late 80s, early 90s. So without further ado, let's grab a beer, sit back, kick back, and listen to Snowy's talk with Matt Olivo of Expulsion.
First and foremost, said record Nightmare Future has been out a week now. Have you heard any, it's it's just, like I said, it's just been a week, but has there been any response to it so far?
There's actually been a really positive response from the fans and from the press. I could read you some quotes. I've been knocked out, honestly, at how well it's been received. There's so many releases these days that, as an artist, you can't help but feel just a little bit hesitant about or overwhelmed about how you could easily get buried. There's so many releases. I'd say like the big four metal labels, at least in America, Nuclear Blast, Century Media, Metal Blade, and Relapse stay very, very busy releasing new metal weekly. And I couldn't help but think to myself, well, the best I can hope for is that I have, a response of some kind, period. But actually got a lot of very, very good responses. Relapse reviewed it with a 9 out of 10. They were really gushing about it. Got great reviews from Metal Sucks, Metal Wani, and India, and Invisible Oranges.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and very, people just being really, really thrilled with the way it sounds. And fans, people just leaving comments. This is the age of the internet troll. And
right.
all you have to do is go to Blabbermouth and see how these trolls can just take apart artists that, some artists are better than others, but at the same time, really, music is just it's not really, you can't really be an expert on music because music is really just up to whoever's listening to it, whether or not they decide it's good or not.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop people thinking that they know everything there is to know about music and that their opinions somehow should demolish your perceptions of a band or whatever. And anyway, so there's that creeps into your mind when you have a new release coming out as well. It's like that people are just going to troll the living piss out of this thing, or and I'm coming from Repulsion, which hasn't released an album since our first album in the 80s. And the music for Expulsion is really sort of an act two to the work that I had started with Repulsion. I've been wanting to do new Repulsion music for years and just could not get that off the ground with my partner. But anyway, I risked a lot to basically move forward with Repulsion-esque ideas with my new partner, Matt Harvey. I risked a lot from the old school people and the really sort of ultra-conservative, ironically, ultra-conservative scene leaders and tastemakers and all those kind of people. The risk was high that they could have just gone, I don't know what he's doing, he's messing with the legacy, or, whatever. And honestly, my approach wasn't to do that at all. I had more ideas in the vein of Repulsion, which was something I co-created and co-pioneered. And I wanted to move forward with that. And luckily, I haven't seen one troll comment yet out of the hundreds and hundreds that we've gotten on our Facebook page. It's been a troll-free zone. And
that's what I want to hear.
Yeah, me too. I wanted to hear it. I wanted to see it. And that was really, really encouraging. And I think the reason is because when you listen to the music, if you like Repulsion, if you get Repulsion, you'll see that it was really just sort of a way to move forward with the legacy of that music in an inspired way. I mean, it wasn't pretentious. I'm not trying to cash in or any of that kind of crap. I just had these ideas. Mm-hmm. And Matt Harvey has this unique talent of being able to just kind of, I don't know, emulate a classic sound. And he's really like a student of Repulsion. And I couldn't have found a better partner to carry this legacy forward, this musical legacy forward, than Matt Harvey. And we did it sincerely and honestly and with a lot of sort of love and care. And I think that shows. And I think that's why it hasn't fallen prey to trolling.
Right on. If you don't give them anything, then they can't feed off of it. If you don't give them anything negative, if you give them nothing but great stuff, well, you can't argue with that. That's fantastic. Mr. Harvey, of course, is no stranger to this show. He's been on many times with Exhumed and all that. How exactly did you meet him? Because I don't want to use the word like, for the lack of a better term, like Expulsion is sort of like an all-star band with yourself and Danny Walker, who's done time with Phobia as well, and of course Matt Harvey has been in Exhumed all this time and all that. Where did you first happen to stumble upon Matt?
Oh, well, I mean, Matt has been a friend since I think 2004 or so. I've run into him here and there, but really in around 2004, when I was living in California, we got a chance to meet and we became friends. And then it wasn't long after that we needed, me and Scott needed some sidemen to do some Repulsion shows because we were getting offers to do shows in Europe. And so we reached out to the two biggest Repulsion fans we knew, Matt Harvey and Cole Jones, who are the singer and the drummer of Exhumed at that time. Mm-hmm. And so they joined the band in the sense that they were second guitar and drumming for Repulsion shows. And of course, we're all just kind of having fun and just being friends. It wasn't formal at all. We were just having a good time. And we had done that for a couple of years. And, of course, always stayed in touch. Matt's a great musician, a great guy. And like I say, he's a big, just sort of student of that Repulsion sound. So yeah, when I finally got tired of trying to get Repulsion music off the ground, Matt Harvey was the first and only choice in my head of someone to collaborate on this with.
Right on. And I kind of like your new moniker with, it's kind of a mix between Repulsion and Exhumed. And when you mix them, you kind of get Expulsion. That didn't get lost on me. Who thought of that?
I'm not sure. It's really just sort of a very obvious thing, like when you take two people's names and put them together to make a band name,
Right.
I'm not sure. It could have been Matt. It could have been me. It could have been the label. I honestly don't remember. I had to dig through the emails.
Oh. But okay, it worked out great.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think so. It's super obvious. It's super on the nose, so to speak. But it works, and there's so much recognition from the fans of Exhumed and Repulsion, and I think some people will find it really fun, and I'm glad you dig it. I think it's a good sign.
And I don't know if anyone has mentioned this to you yet, but I kind of see with Expulsion some sort of shades of Gruesome, seeing as not only is Matt in both of these projects, but Gruesome kind of picks up where Death would have left off, sort of plays that tribute, for the lack of a better word, or that inspiration from. And like you said, we're getting like Expulsion is kind of the same idea with Repulsion. Like, have you seen that in there?
Well, we started this project, and honestly, we finished demoing all these songs. I think it was before Gruesome existed. It was a couple of years back. But I'm not surprised. I mean, basically, the way the writing went down was I did all the music for all the songs and all the arranging, and I sent them to Matt, and then he did all the lyrics and the vocals. And I did notice that some of the subject matter, was kind of death-like. I seem to recall, some of the aspects of his lyrics were harkening back to some death songs. So, you could be right. I am not really an expert in all that kind of stuff, but, you could totally be right. It certainly, I guess my point is, it certainly wasn't really intentional to make. And I also want to be clear that I don't want Expulsion to be a Repulsion tribute band at all. I mean, it really kind of sounds like that. Someone could perceive that at this point. I understand, because I'm taking the second step from what I had started with Repulsion, and so it does sound very Repulsion-esque. But I think the future is going to hold a different story for Expulsion. I mean, we're going to keep evolving and keep trying things. It's always going to be extreme. It's always going to be grindy and extreme, but it may not always sound so much like Repulsion as it may seem at this point.
It's going to be its own thing, for sure.
Yes.
Right on,
exactly.
right on. Was it kind of a foregone conclusion that you were going to be signing this project with Relapse?
No. Okay. This goes back to what you were saying about the supergroup idea, because, I mean, I know Danny Walker and Men Over Bottom personally as friends, just people I run into at shows, but they also happen to be like incredible musicians with a whole body of work behind them. But there really wasn't an idea of, I want to form a supergroup, and there wasn't really a preconceived idea that I wanted to work with Relapse as well, because I had no idea whether or not they wanted to work with me. I didn't know. So all I did is just put my heart and soul into the music, make some demos, and then I sent them to Relapse. They're the first people I thought of because Repulsion has had its legacy record released and re-released on Relapse for decades. And the first people that I called was Relapse, and they loved it. They thought it was great. So there really wasn't any sort of question from that point on.
Right on. Well, everyone seems to be very pleased with the results, and that's Relapse are good friends of ours, so I think it's a great fit. With that, how is this record going to be promoted? Are you going to be able to take this on the road, or like, what do you have in mind, like for the next 365 days for Repulsion, say? Oh, sorry, for Expulsion.
For Repulsion, I don't know, maybe one gig. For Expulsion, I mean, it's a bit trickier now because Matt is in like, 3 Matt is Matt's not just in other bands. He's like the band leader of, I guess, 3 other bands. Exhumed, Gruesome, and Pounder that I know of. And he's the main guy in all those bands, and he's also in Expulsion. So Matt has 4 bands. But at the same time, Matt's settling down, I think, a little bit more in his personal life. He used to tour quite a bit with Expulsion. So, and of course, I'm settled into, we all have day gigs that we have to.
So do I.
Yeah. We're not in the big time end of metal, so we kind of have to keep our personal lives going. But with that in mind, I mean, we're all really inspired by the project, and we want to figure out how we can make something work in terms of playing out. I wouldn't say there would be extensive touring in our future, but I would say that we'd like to get out here and there for a week or 2 weeks, a couple of times a year, perhaps, and certainly get to Europe, do some fests. We'd love to do MDF. I do a annual metal fest in LA called Show Your Scars. I did 2 years. I'm on my 3rd year, rather. Next year is going to be our 3rd year. That's gone really well, and I'm going to book Expulsion on that. And so, yeah, it's really just going to be sort of choice little, festival gigs, hopefully, and quick bursts of touring here and there.
Well, here I'll tell you what. When you're ready to get Chapter 3 of your festival going, we'll talk again, and we'll do all I can on my end to get that going, because we definitely need more stuff like that. I'll do all I can to help promote it for sure.
Brilliant. I'll get your email from Liz if I don't have it already. I'm not sure if I do, but and I'll send you more information about it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Cool.
Since we were discussing Repulsion and all that, one of the things I'm always curious about when a veteran artist like yourself has been around, you've done so much with something, and when a band like Repulsion gets tagged legendary Repulsion, what's your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, right off the bat, I don't feel legendary. I've met some metal musicians that they kind of soak that up, and it kind of goes through their head, and that's okay. I don't really care. But to me, it's just been it was just kind of a big burst of work and hope and progress in my teen years to co-create the album, and then it just didn't go anywhere. And then there was just this huge amount of downtime between like 1990 or so, or 89 actually, until really about 2003. There was just nothing. This is 13, 14 years of very, very, very little. I think the internet was a big part of why Repulsion became much more known than it otherwise would have been. And also we've always been championed by key people like Shane from Napalm Death, and really all the guys in Napalm Death have always been really supportive, and they'll wear a Repulsion shirt. They'll talk about Repulsion. Carcass, Jeff Walker, and Bill Steer were the ones that actually originally put out our first album. And so they've always sung our praises, and the guys in Terrorizer, Oscar Garcia, like key people have always sort of propped up Repulsion over the years. But I think it was really just kind of when the internet took off and made things that were way more obscure suddenly like easy to find and really just kind of revisit and celebrate, you know, and prop up. I think that's what really helped Repulsion come to this sort of legendary status. I mean, to be fair to our legacy, we came along at a time, it was so early, like our album, it came out in 89, but we actually recorded that album in 86, and it was just sort of being traded as a demo, or maybe here and there someone paid $5 for it. But I mean, it goes way back on the evolutionary sort of path, you know, to what we know as grindcore today. And so, I mean, we were pioneers of a sound that was new. We weren't alone. We were not alone, but there was only a few bands doing it. And it's so in that regard, it's actually really nice to get the recognition for it. Totally nice to get that recognition. But like I say, it started and then it ended, and there was this huge downtime. And then by the time it came back to us, and we were getting these really, really choice gigs and meeting up with old friends and celebrating what we had done and hearing the fans' reactions and meeting new young fans of Repulsion and all this kind of weird shit. It's been pretty sweet. But I don't feel like a legend. I mean, you go back to your question. I don't feel like a legend.
Okay, that's perfect. We're going to end it off there. That's excellent. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Like I said, I'm sorry we probably should have had you on a long time ago, but you know, this is actually the perfect time.
Yeah, no worries, dude. I mean, the one thing I can say about Repulsion is I love Repulsion, and I hope people always will, you know, whatever, you know, seek to put it in their collection and keep it in their collection. But Expulsion is doing new music, and that's really important to me at this point in my life, you know. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, thank you so much, and we'll do this again, you know, next project.
We hope you've enjoyed Snowy's chat with Matt Olivo of Expulsion. This interview was taken from Radioactive Metal's episode 467. Check out radioactivemetal.org to find out all about the other podcast episodes we have. And don't forget to tune in purerockradio.net Thursday nights. Horns up. Peace out. Thank you.
Visit us at radioactivemetal.org or go to iTunes for past episodes and write a review. Listen to us live every Thursday night on purerockradio.net. You can also listen to us on Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, Google Play, and all the other podcast aggregators. You can purchase the music featured in this episode by going to radioactivemetal.org and clicking on the episode link. Leave us a voicemail. We want to hear from you. Call 321-80-HEAVY or 321-804-3289. We may even play it on the show. Email us at radmetal666@gmail.com with suggestions or for indie spotlight submissions. Follow us at facebook.com/radmetal, twitter.com/radmetal666, and instagram.com/radioactivemetal. This has been a presentation of Radioactive Metal. It's not metal unless it's radioactive metal.